Okay everybody, welcome back to the painting channel. Today it's one of my series of quick and easy and it's all about trees. So let's roll the intro, let's dive straight in and let's see how we get on. Okay, before I jump into this video properly, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all my new subscribers on the channel and of course to all my existing subscribers. Without you guys supporting the channel, it would be very hard for me to keep going, and I do thank you for that. And if you are watching this and you're not a subscriber, it costs you nothing to subscribe. It really does help me grow my audience, so maybe you consider clicking that little icon at the bottom of the video and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon too. It also tells you when I upload new videos, which are every Friday. And also, if you like it, please like it at the end, share it with your friends, and above all, please comment. Your comments are always viewed and always answered, so that would be fantastic. If you do all of those things, that'd be great. And if you want a little bit more, don't forget there is a Patreon. Details are in the description below. Please look at that, and if you want to get involved, it doesn't cost you much more than a cup of coffee or 2 cups of coffee a month, and it's a way of getting involved, helping me support my efforts in doing all this content creation for you guys to learn from moving forward. So that would be awesome if you take a look, and you'd be so welcome if you do want to get involved and jump on as a patron. And there's so much more for you to enjoy as well by doing so. And on top of all of that, I do 2 streams each week, one on a Monday, one on a Friday, 7 o'clock London time, each of them. One's an oil, one is a watercolor. So by all means join in the chat if you wish to. Now then, let's get on and talk about trees in watercolor. Painting trees can be pretty difficult at the best of times, but trying to make one that's believable in watercolor can be very hard indeed sometimes. And it always pays to do a little bit of research about the tree that you plan on painting, the sort of form it takes, open form, closed form, deciduous or evergreen, whatever it might be, the colors, the shapes and the form that it takes. And by doing that, you have a much better idea about what you're going to paint, and also the ability to sort of get it down on paper and make something that is quite believable. Okay, so I'm going to paint just a few simple forms that I hope will sort of convey the idea of a tree to you. I'm going to go in with some lemon or aureolin, a little touch of green into there to take it and make it very light and airy. And I'm taking a lot of the paint off, and I just want to scratch in a few marks like so and pretend that this is the light catching from one side of our tree. I'm going to bring that down, and I'm going to only bring it so far. I'm only doing one at a time so you get the gist of what is going on. I put a little bit of cobalt blue to that mix, and just going to come in again while this is still very wet and just tap in a few other colors, sort of a nice dark green against this. Now obviously this is the side that's catching the shade. You've noticed that I've left 1 or 2 holes in the paintwork as it's such, and it's allowing me to be able to sort of look at sky holes. Most trees have an open form, some description where you can actually see a lot of the sky or the subjects that are behind and beyond the tree. So it's always worth taking care that you do not sort of completely obliterate the whole thing. So just have a little look and just draw the essence of the tree, and that's all I'm trying to do on this. Okay, now I'm not going to go too mad. I am playing around with the edges, and I'm probably, if I'm honest with you, playing around a little bit too much with it, but it's a little bit of fun. There we go. There's one little tree top. I'm not going to put the trunks in right now, but let's have a look at another one. Let's go back in with some Indian yellow this time, and let's take a different green. Let's take some phthalo green. That's very, very strong. Going to temper it down with some orange in there, some translucent orange. That knocks the green back a little bit. And let's just take in a different form of tree. One that is a close growing and a little sort of fluty type shape, like a conifer, like so. And it comes down to a little point, something of that nature. And I'm going to come in with some more of the orange, and I'm just going to drop that in while it's wet and let that play around. I'm trying to make all the light come from one side so it doesn't get confused and it's simple to follow. And there we are. That gives us another type of shape of our trees. All right, let's come in with some raw sienna, nice yellow, but an earthy yellow. And we can look at maybe a little bit of cobalt into that, and that makes a very dirty grey. So let's leave that for a moment. Let's come back to some aureolin where we were before, and I actually will put some cobalt turquoise. I do love this green, and that gives a delicious light green. So I'm just going to scratch this time. I'm going to scratch very, very lightly over and give me some many open areas within, and I'm going to come in a little bit darker now and a little bit bluer as we come on down. So I'm not waiting, I'm just coming straight in and leaving lots of little holes in the paintwork so that I can put other stuff in, and maybe just one or two little taps up here that suggests it's not just light and dark, but we've got lots of other forms happening. There we go. Hopefully that will give us another tree shape and form. Now then, for a darker one, and often when you look at a blue sky, we'll do a little bit more of a scene down here, but looking at a blue sky and a darker tree against that blue sky. So I'm going to come in here now with what looks like a terrible grey. It's actually the cobalt blue with some raw sienna, and that will give us a shape that we can scratch over what would be our sky. Very, very dry brush, like so. Give us our top canopy, and then we can come in with a much different shape here. So we're talking about a big mature tree now, and I'm just going to bring it down, and we're going to bring that into some sense of finish down into the base. Now the base will be covered up with all sorts of ivies and other planting, but that essentially gives us our top of our tree. I could quite happily, and I will do another one with many more sky holes. I want to give this a bit more dark, and I'm going to come in with some green and more of the raw sienna, and I'm just going to come in now and tap away and give that a little bit more green as opposed to just the grey. I'm tapping. You can see I'm creating other shapes, other marks with my brush. Almost dry brush. Keep it that way because otherwise you will lose control. So let's just try and keep our shapes happening, organic, nice and dark down the base. And for that I'm going to come in with maybe a little bit of cobalt and a little bit of orange just to change that a little bit. A little bit more blue would go well. Just tap that into here, and we just thicken up and darken off as this comes down to the base. Now I've left this area here because you could quite happily and very conceivably put in a lighter bush right next to it, but here I think we've got enough going on to suggest our darker or heavier tree. Now let's do the same thing again. This time I'm going to come back in with some of the raw sienna and the green that I've been using. Two lovely colour, and I'm going to put in actually some blue and some yellow this time. It's still making a very dirty grey, and you can see me cleaning out most of the paint off my brush. So let's come in and let's just make much more of a solid top on this tree. Very same tree, like so. Nice solid top, and there's the start. Now let's come through the center and suggest some of our growth, or our trunk as it were, but covered with other things. Now let's just come out again, keeping it very, very open, if we can. Very different to this one. And then we can come down here and we can suggest more open as it's coming down, maybe just through there up to there, and then this coming out at this point, and then it will become very, very dense once more as it comes down to the base of the tree. But the whole of that was done pretty much with a very, very dry application. Now I've got it a little wetter as I'm coming in here. Watch for that, because this can happen. And you don't, I mean, you can make it work in your favor or it can work against you. But there's our tree. Let's bring it on down to the ground. And let's just tap in what I was going to suggest there. Let's just tap in a nice little shrub or bush next to it, like that. And let's bring that down, and there's our little shrubby thing and a little bit of ground. So now we're adding to more than just our tree. So let's just come back in very, very quickly. And I'm going to use a little bit of Indian red now, just darken up, and we're going to suggest, I'm going to use a smaller brush, and I'm going to suggest our trunks. A little bit of Indian, a bit more water would go well. Indian red and a little bit of our blue, and let's just look at our trunks. So let's pretend this one, and we've got a single stem trunk to this one. Nice, and there we go. Very, very simple and very effective, but it does do what it wants to do. Now you could make it lighter and you can make it warmer just by dropping in a little bit of raw sienna or something similar, just to take away some of the coolness, and you can make it warmer. And I'm going to just come up through here, and I'm going to tap in one or two areas like that that suggest that through the sky holes you can actually see little bits of trunk or branches that are going up through the tree, all the way up through to the top if you want to, like so. And you start creating the illusion of the tree and the structure of the tree. You can make as much of this as you want to, but I think we get the idea from that one. This one really did push up the top though. It wasn't quite meant to do that, but never mind. I'm going to come down again with a single, almost like a pedestal, as you would find with one of these. But for this one, let's just give the trunk a little more depth as it goes up into the tree there, and we can break away and we can put in a bit more dark, like so. And let's come in with some green into that. Let's change some of that value and take that all the way through, like so. And I can soften the effect. So what I've done is I've taken some of that orange out now, and I've just given some of the green a little bit more dominance as it goes on up the tree. Probably could have done it a little better, but I was rushing a little bit, I have to say. And there we go. Let's come back in with a bigger brush just to soften the effect. There we go. By taking some of the water to it, you ease off some of the pressure that was having. So hopefully that will do that, and we can just literally give these a nice area of shadow, which could well be a violet shadow, not necessarily a green shadow, doesn't always work, but a nice violet shadow as the sun hits us. And I've gone the wrong way, haven't I? Because there's my shadow. Oh dear. Okay, well, you get the idea, hopefully, anyway, that we've got a nice shadow of our tree, and hopefully that will give you the idea moving forward, even if you don't get the shadow in the right direction. But a bit of a fundamental error. So there we go. Let's take this one down this way, and we can make our lovely shadow of this one. Now this one here, we can give this a little bit more. We can actually split the trunk. We can put a trunk in here. We can make this a slightly bigger tree, and we can bring up the trunk like so, and we can make the trunk go like that. Very, very simple task to do. Just give that a little bit more umber, and it will get shady as it gets up into the tree. And we can put one or two other marks in through like this, and out through there, like so. Maybe one or two that are just sort of coming out this way. Let that dry, and then we can add some more values to this. And once more, if we wish to, we can take our shadows away to one side. It's very like that. And then we can start adding little bits of foliage and little bits of grasses and creating our look. Alright, now let's come back into this one. And I'm not going to do any more to that one. I could actually just put one or two little marks, and that was very, very brown. I don't want very, very brown. What I would like is a very, very dark violet, just to give it that look. And here I'm working very, very carefully, not trying to get too heavy with any part of it. You can't see too much in terms of the structure because there is so much foliage involved that although it's broken, the foliage still masks much of the tree structure. But you can still do one or two areas where you are suggesting that there are more branches coming and pointing the way through, and then one up maybe through there like so, and one or two more in here. Bring one up through there, maybe supporting that lot. Okay, now this one we can do a little more with. We can start to think about more trunk, more branches, so we can actually add to that. Let's come in with some more structure, like so, joining in, coming down through there. One or two coming through this way. Thicken up some if you wish to. You can make a much nicer trunk coming in through there and bring some of that into view there, but not a lot. And there's also going to be the odd dead piece of stick coming out, you know, not stick, but an old dead piece of wood from something that's died or been broken or just whatever, and start to create the depth in that fashion. Bring that one off through there to support that little outcrop, and one up into there, coming through there and there, out this way. It's a case of looking and studying and looking at your trees with a lot of detail, and start understanding, and take a sketchbook with you and start looking at what you're seeing, and just adding in a little bit of dark down at the base of this shrub area, and take that all the way through there, and we start creating another layer that makes the whole thing that much more believable. It's rather green, but a dark green, it's not bad. We can put that in like so, and if we wish to come in here and give this a bit more color, which I'm going to do with a bigger brush, it would help. Using some of that, and just paint some of this negative space, which you hear me talk about so often in videos. Painting that negative space and allowing the paint this side to become the lighter object and the object of interest, as it were, as well. And let's take some of that dark through up to into one of these two places up here and across to there, adding a little bit more depth to the bottom part or the bottom half of the tree. A bit of orange into that would be nice too, just to give that dark in there. Don't want to get too heavy with it, because the tree is just going to do its own thing. And of course, against a nice light sky, then this will be quite dark. It looks dark right now. I'm just going to bring in a few darker shades underneath some of the canopy here, just to give a bit of weight to the base. in much the same way as you would do a cloud. At the bottom of a cloud you would add a shadow where it's gained, you know, it's away from the sun. So I'm doing very much the same in one or two places here. So hopefully that gives you some idea of a little tree. Now let's just put in the last part. Let us just quickly put a quick sky in. So I'm going to clean out one of these reservoirs so we don't contaminate our sky colour. And I'm going to put in a quick colour matte of the phthalo blue and cobalt, and it's just very quickly, just a quick sky, just very suggestive, nothing more. Just want to give the idea of building a scene with a tree. So let's just bring that down through to there, and I'll let it dry, and then we'll just carry on and finish this little picture off. Okay, for this little exercise then, I just wanted to put a little bit of context in, i.e. just the sky and a bit of ground. So I'm now going to come in with some darker green colours. This is not bad, but I want to make it a little bluer than green at the moment. And I also want to make a aureolin mix with some of my lovely cobalt green, turquoise. And that will be our first layer. So let's put in our first layer of greens. Now these are not going to be that visible when it comes to the final and finished product. So we're going to have just a little bit of this green. I actually want to put in a little bit of Indian yellow to that. It's a little bit too cool, and I just wanted to put in a little lighter green to some of these marks here. But predominantly this tree is going to be quite dark. I'm just going to bring it all the way down. It gets nice and thick at the bottom, and it will get much darker. So there I can pretty much leave it, but I'm thinking ahead, and I want to put in a lighter bank. So I'm going to come in with some raw sienna this time. Touch of that green went in. I'm just going to come in with a top of a bank, maybe. Let's run that through there like so. And there is a bank that our trees can now go onto, or sort of live upon, as it were. Some more context, environment. So now let's come in with our darker, and I'm going to make two mixes. I want it blue, but I want to put in a little bit of Indian red to that. Really darken that up, and a little tap of the green into that. Now I may change this. It's quite a nice dark colour, but let's just see where it goes with that. So now I'm going to come in across here, and I'm going to lose a lot of that green that I've just been putting in, and I'm going to put in quite a bit of this dark. Just want to leave the outer edges caressing the sun, but I want to leave a lot of sky holes. So I'm going to come all the way down through here, quite dark down here. It gets quite heavy with colours, a little bit of mark through there's a little bit of sky showing, and I'm going to come into the top here. Don't really want to touch that land or that ground, so I'm going to come across to this tree, and there's a big old bush or two here which are going to make quite cool for the moment. And I want to give it a nice little warm green, light green top, so I'm going to do that to it, and then come back in with all this information that's underneath. So nice heavy darks that run through and off to the edge of the page. We're going to leave not too many gaps up the top. We're going to make it a little bit going out this way. So I'm going to make some sort of taps more than anything else to suggest that there are open forms and dark here and open forms of the tree around about here, something like that, if I can make that happen. And I'm going to come in with another layer, so it's not the end of the story by any stretch. I come in with some more dark greens here, but I've added a tap of blue and a tap of the raw sienna, and let's just come in and take that all the way down through to there. Now you can see how light our bank is looking against these massive amounts of darks. But I'm going to paint my trunk almost straight away, so I'm going to come in with some dark, but I want to make it a warmer dark, so a little bit of orange, a little bit of umber to come into that, And let's just tap in our sort of heavy old trunk that we can see disappearing into the ground. And let's come up there with that side of it, and maybe a little bit out through there. Big old heavy trunk of this tree. And then we can see a little bit up into here on this one. And I'm just going to suggest that. And take some of the darks over the top to make it lose out to the tree and the form, like so. So it's, having put it in, I've masked some of it. And there's just one or two little marks up in here that we can see, little spindly bits of trunks and branches that are moving up through towards the top of the canopy of this one. And then just a little bit of dark right on top as it silhouettes itself against the sky. But some of that green will still pop through. Hopefully that works. And just going to come in with some of the darks down in here. Now we've got the most of it set in, we can just come back in now. And here we can come in and work some little bit of negative space, just suggesting that there are grassy tufts that are sort of below and on top of that ridge. So by doing so, I'm just literally suggesting that there is an undulated surface, as it were, like so. Okay, that works. Take that up into there, and that gives us a nice dark structure to that piece of tree. This could be further away over the back. I'm not too worried about that. That's all good. Let's just bring some of that through here and just marry some of these areas together like that. Don't want to overdo it, very easily overdoing it. I'm just going to suggest and do no more. And I'm going to come in and do very much the same in here, some really dark heavy base to this tree, and that will allow the sky or whatever is beyond it to really show through. I'm going to use the negative space on this light piece branch here to put in this shrub or this big old bush. Bring that down and soften that like so. But now we've outlined our tree, but actually I don't like that, so I'm going to take that down and come in with some other greens to the base of this tree, and then add some darks coming off the trunk like so. I think that works better. What I'll do is, once that's dried out a little there, I can drop that down and I can come in with some darks and replace that light with dark. But I want to use that to come down and do very much the same thing as we were doing up here. Just suggest other things going on. Now I could have done the area of the distance quite happily. I'm going to put in a little bit of violet just to suggest that there are some trees way back. A little bit of violet, a little bit of green into there, made by adding some yellow, and I want to cool them off, so a little bit more violet would be good. The yellow is great and it will take it away from the pure purple, pure violet, but I just wanted to suggest that there are trees in the distance. Let that come down and we are scratching away, something like that, and maybe another one there. And we're telling you, the viewer, that there are sort of multitude of trees, and all we're doing is separating them, not by, we're doing it by size, but we're also doing it by color, by distance, by cooling off, by making the values a lot less than they are. So let's just put in one or two, take them way off there like so. And now we've got a nice little scene with our trees. It was very, very quickly done, but hopefully you'll get the idea. And put one or two marks up through this one to suggest maybe a little bluer, a bit more violet into that. Just darken it down, take off the excess, and just put one or two marks in like so, like that. There we are, maybe 1 or 2 coming in there like so. And let's just put in for good measure 1 or 2 in there like that. That suggests there's a lot more happening in this area. I won't say neck of the woods. I did say neck of the woods, I'm sorry. But you get the idea. Okay. Just 1 or 2 little taps just to make it all a little bit more believable. And we've got a nice little scene. And let's just finish the bank off with a little bit of that lovely green. I love that green, and a little bit of orange into that green. And let's just bring that down through here, get a little bit more weight like so. Very quickly done. There. All right, we are done. Okay. Okay, everybody, a few trees done. Quick and easy, I hope. And I hope you got something from it. I enjoyed doing it. It's always a bit of fun mucking about like this. And if you have got scraps of paper laying around where you have a watercolor that hasn't quite worked out how you'd like it, don't tear them up, turn them over and do things like this. These little exercises are great for making you or allowing you to learn a lot more, not just about the pigments, but the way you apply them, the colors, the values, and the shapes of the subject that you're doing. In this case, it's trees. So have a go, keep doing them, keep doing them, keep doing them. The more you do it, the more proficient you will become, and the more you will understand about them. And when you're out and about with a sketchbook, take little notes. Look at oak trees, look at elm trees, look at all the different trees that are out there, and do little notes about the shape, the form, how open they are, and at different seasons, of course, because in winter or in autumn they're going to look vastly different to when they're fully laden with leaves and fruit or flower or whatever it might be. So hope you enjoyed it. As I say, and don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, look at the Patreon, look at the live streams. I'll catch you all in the next video. Take care, guys. Happy painting. Stay safe. Talk to you all soon. Bye bye.